Hi, welcome to this episode of Talking Change and Transformation. I'm Charlie Wood, Head of Contractor Solutions at Head Resourcing. For those who don't know us, we're a specialist technology, digital and transformation recruitment agency headquartered in Edinburgh. It's my pleasure to also introduce our guest speaker today, Brian Reid. Brian is an experienced leader in the world of business IT, process and people change delivery. He joined the Scottish Government in March 2021 as Director of Corporate Transformation, and in early 2023 he also took on the role of Programme Director of the Shared Services Programme, responsible for the implementation of Oracle Cloud, which went live across the Scottish Government and 32 public bodies in October 2024. Prior to his time with the Scottish Government, Brian had change-related roles in a range of private sector organisations, including Skyscanner, Clydesdale Bank and Standard Life Investments. Building portfolios of change and transformation and the teams required to deliver them has been a critical theme across his whole career. It's my pleasure to now hand you over to Brian to introduce his talk.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you for inviting me to do this. So I'm going to talk to you all about what to look for when recruiting project, program managers, transformation managers. And there's a little model that I've been using for many years, which we'll get into in a moment. But I think fundamentally, I think it's helpful to have the question in your mind of what makes the individual credible. What is it that whenever you're hiring anybody into a project, program, transformation, change role, where does their credibility come from, and does that match with your needs and with your expectations as an organization? So let's dive in. This is the model that I've used for many years, and I cannot claim to have created this in any way. I'm trying to trace back in my own mind just the first time that I heard this, but it's at least 20 years ago now. But it's really stuck with me, and I used it often with my colleagues in different scenarios when we've been hiring change project professionals. Now, you might want to think of this as an overlay to any official process that you might have, because organizations will often have specific competencies, leadership competencies, or other criteria that they want to recruit to. So you can maybe just think of this as an overlay on top of that, and a way of asking yourself this question: where does the individual's credibility come from? So I'm going to dive into core content and craft and just bring them to life a little bit for you. On the core is really the things that we all, the first things that we really experience about individuals. Are they a team player? Are they easy to get along with? Are they collaborative in the work sense? Do they build networks? Are they good at influencing, etc., etc.? It's these innate or learned human talents and traits that actually every organization will have a list of these things that they're looking for in new recruits, and it's not unique to the profession of projects and change, but it's how you might just describe a great employee or a good addition to the team. But we need these core capabilities, because the other elements, the content and the craft, without the core, is going to feel suboptimal. Core elements are so important about how we build teams and build cultures and create an environment in which actually colleagues like working with each other. So these things really play an important part to that. So you want to test for these core skills and these capabilities by normal means. Sometimes organizations use psychometric testing, sometimes just through interviews, sometimes competency-based assessments to understand scenarios in which people have had to collaborate or challenge or influence discussions, but fundamentally they're quite an important element of someone's overall credibility. You move on to the content. Content is what does the individual know about your particular industry or particular scenario? Now, for some people will say, I only need the core and the craft. If they're a great person and they've got great technical skills, project management or business analysis, or whatever the skills are you're recruiting for, that's enough. I have a belief that actually, if the individual also has content and industry specific or sector specific experience, I think that adds to the credibility. I've spent a lot of time working in the investment management industry, and if you had investment management knowledge, you would infinitely land as a more credible candidate and a more credible project professional or business analyst, etc., with the business experts of that organization. It was just deemed to be a more credible individual. So content is this: what do you know about your industry? Do you know the business? Do you speak the language of that organization, whether it's investment management or government or banking? What experience and background do you have in those industries? And I think it's important because actually that's how you quickly engage in conversations, often quite detailed conversations with senior people or with different business experts. And if you lack that content knowledge, I think it can be tricky. Now, it's not to say it's essential in every single scenario, but I think it accelerates the individual forward in the organization. And I think it creates a sense of credibility that it can take quite a long time to earn if you're starting fresh in a brand new industry. Craft skills are the things that you're hiring for ultimately. A really good project manager, a really good program manager, a really good business analyst, a transformational lead. And we would say craft skills, these are the things that you acquire over many years, sometimes through professional training courses or certification programs, whether you're doing Association of Project Managers or PMI qualifications or business analysis qualifications or the 3Ps, portfolio management, program, project. Any of these certification programs and qualifications are sort of pointing towards your craft. I happen to believe that actually they are just but step one though, acquiring these certificates. The key thing is actually what has been the journey of the individual through years of craft development. So starting probably as a often the individual might start in a project office, learning the PMO skills and how to support projects and to work closely with project managers, then moving into small projects, bigger projects, really big projects, starting to take on programs. And that's a journey of multiple years. The individual who has a CV where they've done one project in one program is probably going to be pretty inexperienced because you need to do quite a lot of tours of duty, as I would call them, to actually acquire that knowledge and experience and lived experience of what it's like to actually be in the heat of project or program delivery. So craft goes beyond the basic disciplines of project and programs or business analysis. You need to think about your communication skills, craft skills, how you present, how you write reports, how you develop a narrative and a story around projects and change and transformation. And I remember working with colleagues in the past where they had such high standards. Almost everything I produced was not good enough for them. And I think it's helpful if you can work with a peer and work with somebody that actually has very high standards, because it helps drive those craft skills and move you forward. So look for individuals who have been part of impressive teams, worked with a lot of experienced people, been involved in projects and change and transformation for quite a long time, and have been on a journey of ever bigger challenges. And those are going to be the individuals that have lived and breathed the world of projects and change for quite a long time. If you move past the world of core content and craft, and think about actually moving up a level into the world of transformation, you need to start by asking yourself the question, do you really mean transformation? Is it really transformational? Is it really a transformational expert that you're looking to hire? And for me, transformation goes usually quite far beyond your typical project and program, which are often dealing with, could be regulatory change, could be product launches, could be system upgrades, could be reorganization of reorganizational change. It could be any number of things. But genuine transformation is of a scale of magnitude that goes beyond that. It really brings about mindset shifts and culture change and operating model change. And it really requires change on a scale that actually is not typical in your usual project. So if you think of transformations going beyond or taking you towards kind of 40% of the organization changing, you start to get the picture. And the skills that you need for transformation, I think, are in advance of the ones I've listed in core content and craft. Think about what is going to be the kind of key characteristics of a transformational leader, or the kind of skills that they will have developed and mastered. And if you look at this model, the core content craft in the world of projects and program managers really kicks in at the end of this model in the deliver phase, once actually the organization's been on a transformational journey and there's something specific to deliver. So your transformational leader has to come from a place of visionary, building that picture of the future, being able to articulate what the future should look like, being able to compare the future or the future over here and the present day here, and help articulate how we close the gap between those 2 points and all of the things that we need to change in order to actually move in a transformational way towards those goals. You've then got the challenge of enrolling people. So build that vision, build that future perspective, and then actually bring senior leaders with you, enroll them, help them understand what the change looks like, which is a lot of communications, a lot of workshops, a lot of facilitation, a lot of conversations, a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and you have to be able to persist. So the persistency and the determination of a transformational leader needs to be very high. Once you've actually built enrollment and you've got commitment and moving things forward, there needs to be a plan. There needs to be waypoints. You need to be the person that's bringing that route map to the table and helping people build confidence about the stepping stones and how you move from A to B and B to C, and what those waypoints will deliver. There's obviously all the practical things of planning and budgets and team building and all sorts of things that actually play a key part in that. And then, of course, once you're in a transformational journey, you need to be inspirational. You need to build confidence in the team. You need to take leaders with you. You need to help everybody feel like the direction of travel here is a good one. And leaders of that ilk and capability will be great communicators, able to deliver a presentation well, fill the room when they're there. You know, they're generally not the shy retiring type, but they will be seen and heard, and actually be the ambassador for the change, and show up often in the right situations and scenarios to lead and champion the change. And then, of course, you've got to move into delivery mode, where you've got to turn all of the aspirations and the ideas into concrete projects and programs and activities and initiatives that will move you along your journey. So transformation is significantly different, in my view, to project and program. If you want to think of it as a sort of hierarchy, potentially project at the bottom, program next. The individual might have experience leading on portfolios, but again, that's a slightly different job. Really complicated programs, and ultimately up into leading and driving major transformational agendas. And I think it's quite difficult to leapfrog between these phases. So that's the way I think about recruitment and hiring project, program, transformational leaders. I don't think it's an exact science. I think you have to figure it out what works for your organization, and, as I say, use your official recruitment processes, but also have these kind of concepts and overlays, and really ask yourself this question: where does the individual's credibility come from? Does that meet and match our expectations?
That's great. Thanks very much for that, Brian. That was some great advice. I particularly like the way you brought the importance of craft to life there. So we hope that you have all found this useful. Please keep an eye out for the other episodes in our Talking Change and Transformation series, and have a great day.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks for that, Brian.